Before we leave the securities lawyer part of what you do, Jim, can you tell us why you like this type of work?
Well, Jeff, I've always liked being a securities lawyer because it's a long search for reality. It's like truth, justice, and the American way in the Superman movies. Basically, the objective is to help a client to describe their business in a clear and concise way. We're supposed to deal with risks, but a lot of securities lawyers are like Chicken Little. The sky is always falling. The craft is to be able to tell the story, to warn investors in a way that is useful to both the business and to the investors. If you overdo the risk side of things, you're like the boy who cried wolf. Okay? If you're always saying everything is risky, then how do people know? Eventually, they stop listening to the warnings, and the wolf comes and eats them because the hunter didn't come when the boy cried wolf the last time. You also learn a lot about human nature of being a securities lawyer. So I'll give you a very concrete example of that. I was advising a client who had just terminated their CEO and had my first meeting with the new chief executive officer of the company. We're in this boardroom, and there are 6 or 7 vice presidents lined up and the new CEO. And he had just done a kind of thorough investigation of the company and was really upset. He was upset because the board had recruited him, telling him this company was about to take off and they needed his leadership to help it rise to the top of the industry. What he found was a complete mess, which is why the board had fired the old CEO. So he began to tell me his plan to turn the company around and said basically they just needed 2 years and he could move the company to the next level as planned. In the meantime, though, he wanted to continue to tell investors that the company was doing great. I then was faced with a problem and had to convince him that that problem was his problem. Despite telling him that people would eventually find out what the reality was, he was of the mind that no, they wouldn't. So rather than try to explain to him, I decided to show him. So I said, okay, raise your right hand. And he says, what? I said, raise your right hand like we're in court. So eventually he does. He plays along with me, and I said, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, help you God? And he says, I do. Meanwhile, we have 7 vice presidents lined up watching me interrogate him. It took me about 5 minutes and maybe 7 or 8 questions before he spilled the beans. And he had sworn, that he would go to the grave with a secret and the like. But when you're in court and you're being asked pointed questions on a penalty of perjury, most people won't lie. That's why defendants don't usually take the stand, often don't take the stand in criminal trials because they are sitting ducks. So we managed to convince him that hiding the reality was not a realistic option. It was not in his best interest or anybody's best interest. We then began about the real work about how to disclose reality to investors without causing a panic in the marketplace, because at the same time we disclosed the problems, we were disclosing the solutions. He was a good salesman, and he was able to sell his solutions. So that's how you work human nature and business objectives into your public securities disclosures.